Things are starting to line up for the Memphis Grizzlies. As training camp approaches and goes, the Grizzlies will have to make a move that could change their season. Hi everybody, welcome back to Grizzlies Digest. I'm Tristan Harlen, excited to be back with you. Hope you guys had a great Monday, but now we're back here on Grizzlies Digest, and as training camp starts to unravel and we start to hear reports on who's shining and who's falling, whose stock's rising and whose stock's possibly on the way out the door, it's time to talk about the Grizzlies' issues, and they're kind of a logjam at the forward position. Now, before we get into that, I want to take a moment, as again, I do this every time, and it's not a mistake. It's to show off this great background, okay? Minus Luke Kennard and I thought I saw Desmond Bain on here, but minus the Luke Kennard image there. But 72.4% of you guys are not subscribed to the 27.6% of you that are, to my 27.6% of you that are subscribed. Thank you so much for your support. I hope you're enjoying the videos. And to my almost 72.5% of you guys, why aren't you clicking the subscribe button? Is it me? Is it something I'm doing? Is there some kind of content you want to see here on Grizzlies Digest that I can provide for you that you'll be able to click that subscribe button? Because, hey, listen, if you're worried about cost, it's not a cost because it's everybody's favorite price, free, $99. But going back to the focus of this video, the Grizzlies have currently an issue, and it's the logjam at the forward position. Now, you take a look at the roster, and you're thinking, okay, well, where could the Grizzlies kind of cut some slack on? Where could they kind of trim the fat, get rid of a couple players to break even? Now, a possible instance that I like to look into is, who do the Grizzlies need, and who do the Grizzlies absolutely, who can the Grizzlies not live without, I guess is the way I should say this. And there's three players I think that the Grizzlies cannot move on this season without. And everybody already knows two of them. Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr. Ja Morant, no explanation necessary. He's the face of Nike basketball. He's the face of the Memphis Grizzlies. Him and Jaren Jackson Jr. are the adopted sons of the city of Memphis, I guess is what we're gonna call them for right now. But you're looking at it and you're thinking, okay, we're not gonna move Ja. We're never gonna move Jaren. We're possibly not gonna move Scottie Pippen Jr., Jalen Wells, Gigi Jackson. But who is that third person that the Grizzlies cannot afford to get rid of? And to me, I think it's Zach Edey. Now, that's not the topic of the video, but I think if you look at it in a grand scheme of things of where is there no logjam that the Grizzlies absolutely have to commit to a starter in that role, it's at the center spot with Zach Edey. Now, the logjam is sitting at the forward position, and you could go down the roster and you can look at who's on there, who's currently listed as a forward, that could be getting their walking papers if they do not perform well in training camp, because the Grizzlies are going to have to make a decision. And right now they have 13 players that could easily give them 5 to 15 minutes or go on another NBA roster and do the exact same thing. But for Jalen Wells, Ty Jerome, Santi Aldama, Brandon Clark, Gigi Jackson, Meshack, guys of that nature, there's a huge logjam here that you're going to possibly see one of these players, if not two of these players, get cut or sent down to the G League. And another one, too, to watch out for is Vince Williams Jr. and John Conchar. Because, I mean, here's the thing. While Conchar is a great addition to the roster, if his rebound numbers don't improve, then he's possibly somebody that's going to be getting the axe. But going back to the forward position, you're realistically looking right now where Jerome, while yes, he's listed as a guard / forward, he's more of a guard, so you ain't got to worry about him there. But your starting three this season is more than likely going to be Jalen Wells if he has another good training camp. I mean, Contavious Caldwell-Pope, probably going to be in that 6-man role, and Jerome's going to be starting at the 2. Cedric Howard, he's going to be coming off the bench if he's ready. Cam Spencer, another guy that's going to be in that 7th to 8th man role. G.G. Jackson, as much as I would love to see him in a continuous basis in the rotation for the Grizzlies, realistically, he's more than likely going to start the season in South Haven. And as much as that's kind of bad to say, it's right now it's probably the best place for him. I mean, if him and Cedric Howard go to the G League for 20 games and then they come back up and they prove and ready and they stay on the roster, then that's a great move. But here's the thing about training camp is that this is the chance that the Grizzlies that the front office and the coaches, the coaching staff and alike are going to be able to see who are the dogs that are going to come in and stay hungry and get the Grizzlies to that 4th to 7th seed in the playoffs. And while yes, the playoffs are a long way away, they start in training camp. The grind to the Larry O'Brien Trophy starts in training camp. So yes, there's a logjam at the 4 position. The Grizzlies just can't afford to cut the wrong player. Now, Wells is not going to go nowhere. Gigi's not going to go nowhere unless, and when I'm saying not going to go anywhere, I mean they're not going to get cut. Now they may be demoted to the G League or they may be traded in the future, but for cutting wise, they're not going to go anywhere. The players that I see on this roster that could get walking papers is Meshack, Javon Small, and possibly PJ Hall. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm not saying I want that to happen, but the most likely of the cutting down the roster to at least 10 players, those are the 3 that I'm looking at the most. And by cutting, I don't want to say released into free agency, but I also don't want to say that they're going to be cut from the main roster to the G League roster just so they have time to kind of shine and get some playing time in and whatnot and moving forward. But ESPN also released a report that talked about the Grizzlies and talked about how they're all in on their future and stuff like that, and this is what they had to say. The Grizzlies, on the other hand, suffered a short-term setback by unloading Bane to Orlando for a collection of picks, but one of them, probably Phoenix's 2026 first-rounder, has a lot of upside. That the hope is that pick, plus this year's lottery selection, Cedric Howard, and the franchise cornerstones, John Morant and Jared Jackson Jr., can allow this team to have a long runway. Now, we've already talked here on Grizzlies Digest before. I know I've mentioned it. I've probably not done a fantastic job of diving into it. But right now, the Grizzlies are 1 to 3 years away from competing for an NBA title. They're 5 years from dominating the West. They're 10 years from becoming the next NBA dynasty, and that's the homer. That's the Grizzlies fan in me coming out. But right now, where it sits for the Grizzlies, you have a lot of young talent on the roster. I mean, we go back and we look at it and who's going to be that guy that steps up for the Grizzlies? Who's going to be the next Jalen Wells that shines in training camp, and when the regular season rolls around, they're blossoming into another star? Because right now, you keep Ja and Jared on your roster with Ty Jerome and Zach Edey, possibly Brandon Clark, and some others. That's a scary competition. That's a scary roster. Sorry, my brain just went off the rocker there. It's a scary roster to compete in the West because the West, as we've mentioned before, is super competitive this season. It's going to be for the next 5 to 10 years. And once these bigger stars like an SGA or LeBron or Luka or Jokic or all these other players, once they start to regress or the teams aren't building as well as they were when they were dominant and in their prime anymore, that's when the Grizzlies are going to take over. Now, the only issue is that while, yes, John and Jaren are kind of getting up there in age, they're still in a prime spot to be cornerstones of the Grizzlies franchise and 2 players that hold up the Larry O'Brien Trophy when that party comes down Bill Street. Now, Jared Jackson Jr. is the last standing member of the team that played with Marc Gasol, Mike Conley, and those guys. So what a moment that would be. Now, I know I would be down on Bill when the eventual championship parade happens, but I just think this roster is too good not to look towards the future. Now, again, this is a playoff team, but how well does the season go? How well do the injuries go? How well do trade deadlines and stuff like that? Like, what's the fine line between reality and dreamland? So I definitely think that moving forward from the forward position, you definitely want to keep a lookout for possible players to be cut near the end of training camp or sent to the G League just for developmental reps and so on and so forth. But time will tell where things are going to go. Before I leave for the day and clock out, I want to say that 72.4% of you guys are not subscribed. So what are you doing? Click that red subscribe button, join the Grizzlies Digest family, and be sure to tune in to our videos as we lead up to the regular season. To my 27.6% of you, I send love. I send nothing but love and kisses and hugs and Gatorades and, all that good stuff. I don't know why I just did that, but I did it. So thank you so much to the 27.6% of you guys that are subscribed. And to everybody in the comment section, I read the comments. So if there's something you want me to come on here and talk about, or you think that it's a talking point that should be brought up, comment on this video. Let me know. I'd love to come on here and talk about stuff that you guys want to hear, would love or interested in, because right now there's only so much we could talk about. And again, I apologize if some of you guys think I'm posting clickbait content. That's on me. I apologize. I'll do better. But again, just let me know what you guys want to see from now to the start of the regular season in the comments for these videos, and let me know about the forward position. Let me know who you guys think should be cut. Who do you guys most realistically think is going to get that axe? But guys, this has been another episode of Grizzlies Digest. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys when I see you guys. Peace.